For the first time in 5 years of Samsung flagship releases, their phone has failed. Obviously, I'm talking about the S24 Ultra. So after a whole 6 months of usage, why is the S24 in general a failure? We're going to talk about that in this video, and also a long-term review of this phone and how it's held up over the past 6 months of daily usage. If you watch this channel, then you know that in the start of everything, the camera was having some issues, and we talked about that here. We were also having issues with the display with micro scratching, which is basically just as bad as the previous outgoing device. We also had issues with the mic. This mic was actually not working. It started to muffle, and that was because it did get water on the device. Now, this phone is waterproof. You know, if you accidentally drop it into a sink of water and take it out, you should have no problem whatsoever, but we did. That mic wasn't working for 2 whole days after just dropping it in a sink. We had to let it dry out. It kind of did its own thing, and the mic was back after 2 days. So most of the issues we've had with the camera, with the mic, they either fixed themselves or Samsung pushed out a software update over the past 6 months, and that solved the issue, primarily with the camera. So why is it still a failure? It's because unlike Samsung's previous devices, the S24 Ultra, the S22 Ultra, the S21 Ultra, this phone is not made or priced for the masses. It's really not for everyone. So I divided this video into 2 parts. Part 1 is a long-term review of this device. We'll talk about everything that's happened over the past 6 months that was good and everything that went wrong. And then in part 2, we'll talk about why most people should stay away from this device and a few better options for you. And by the way, guys, please do not hit the dislike just yet, because let me get through it. Okay, let me get through. I am not a Samsung hater. We made this channel exclusively built on Samsung. So we love Samsung here. We have Samsung devices. I've got the Flip and the Fold and the S23. We got it all in the studio. We love Samsung. But this device, there's a little bit of a kick to it. Let's get started with part 1. So the past 6 months have been amazing, absolutely amazing, because really this is a device that only improves upon its previous predecessor, the S23 Ultra. Nothing in this is worse than the S23 Ultra. Everything's been improved. And the cameras are also some of the best in the business. We've done extensive testing on this camera. We've done daytime, nighttime, and zoom photography as well. I was filming my Tesla video with a drone, a 4K drone, and that got caught up in a tree about 60 feet high, and I couldn't find it with my eyes. I popped out the S24 Ultra, we went up there, and we zoomed into the tree, and we were able to locate our actual drone in the tree. Never got it down. Like, it calmed down at some point, but it wasn't like, you know, in one piece. But all that aside, these cameras are absolutely fantastic. They're absolutely phenomenal cameras, just like the S23 Ultras, okay? It's literally the same camera. The hardware is basically the same. The only change is the software. We're going to talk about that later. And more recently, the updates that Samsung was pushing out for the camera fixes have slowed down because there's not a lot that's left to fix in the camera. And so more of that UI 6.1 that we'll talk about is focused on the camera interface. Is that my spit? I just spit on my phone, damn. So the 6.1 interface when it comes to editing photos or editing videos as well is absolutely awesome. Okay, it's real now. You can actually edit videos on your phone with the S Pen. And with this flat display and S Pen, if you download things like CapCut, you can really bolster your short form content editing on a device like this and really put out some professional production videos in short form. So all of that ties into productivity with the S24 Ultra. We're talking about the 8 Gen 3, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, and by the way, it might be on the Z Flip 6 as well, coming out this month at this point. So we'll talk about that later, but the 8 Gen 3 is absolutely a powerhouse of a processor. And it is a serious upgrade over the S23 Ultra in literally every way. We're talking about heating management, we're talking about battery efficiency. In every sense of the form, the 8 Gen 3 is superior. And so far, in my normal day-to-day usage, not when I'm testing it, because when I'm testing it, I'm running it on data. I've got Zoom running, I've got 50 Chrome tabs open. That's when I'm testing it, and yeah, I've had that heat up. But in my normal day-to-day life over the past 6 months, and we're talking doing normal human things like WhatsApp, Instagram, you know, doing some browsing on Google Chrome, watching YouTube videos, doing Zoom calls, I haven't had this thing heat up once. Even once with a 2-hour-long Zoom call with video on in school, so it was on data, not a single time did it heat up. So this processor is seriously awesome. But when we talk about productivity on a phone with like the S24 Ultra, we also have to talk about DeX, because that is, it's like hallmark feature when it comes to productivity. So DeX is different on the S24 Ultra than it is on tablets or other devices, because you are able to connect your device to an external display. So whether it is a TV or a dedicated external monitor, you can do all of that with DeX. And in the past, it was kind of gimmicky just because it would stutter, but that's no longer the case. For example, I wanted to watch the NBA Finals or the Cricket World Cup that's happening in the USA, and I'm cheap, so I'm not paying for cable, you know, I'm not paying for YouTube TV, I'm not doing that. I went on free streaming websites on my phone and I can watch the games for free. But if I wanted to watch them on my TV, so like over here, big 85-inch TV, I can't actually do that because, well, have you ever tried screen mirroring on this crap? Screen mirroring on Android devices, if you know it, you know what I'm talking about. It sucks, okay? Casting from an Android device to your phone is stuttering, it's glitching, it's buffering, it's garbage, okay? It's not AirPlay like the iPhone, okay? So that's why DeX is not the same as screen mirroring. You see, DeX, when connected to a Samsung 85-inch TV, still plays as fluidly as it would on my device. It's literally almost no latency, and that also extends to gaming. So if you want to game on the big screen, games like Asphalt or Genshin Impact from your phone on the big screen, you can do that and literally you'll never go back. Now, as you can see from my device, I've got a case on it. It's this beautiful Banks case we'll talk about, but it is basically untouched. It looks as good as it did day one, and obviously we're talking about the most superior build quality. We're talking about titanium. And by the way, if you like this wallpaper, go ahead and check out the link in the description below, because I have a bunch of wallpapers that I'm happy to share with you guys, and it also helps support the channel, so definitely go check them out in the link in the description below. And obviously, if you want to help support the channel, you can hit the subscribe button, because it really helps grow a channel like this one, and it's free. And guess what? You can get a refund at any time. So again, if you like this content and you're looking forward to more, hit the subscribe button. This video is sponsored by Banks. You have this carbon fiber texture all the way around, and this color combination here that's supposed to represent the aurora borealis. It's low key, so it's not super bright, but it definitely stands out because of that color contrast that you see on the carbon fiber itself. And not only that, it is super slim profile. So as you can see all the way around the device, it barely even juts out. And that just means that you can keep a slim form factor and keep it very comfortable to hold, because that's important when your phone is this gigantic. It literally fits on like a second skin. And all around you have cutouts for literally everything. The charging, the S Pen makes it super easy to get out and put right back in. The cameras also have this bolstered protection all around the rim, so you can literally put it down flat and you won't have any issues scratching like this. But if you want a little bit more protection, or maybe you want to switch around your style a little bit, you can get this more protective case, which is also carrying the same carbon fiber finish, but this one goes all the way around, covers the buttons as well, and it's much thicker. The sides are very soft, so it's still pretty comfortable to hold. All the button cutouts are very tactile and easy to work with. It goes all the way to the front of the display, so I can put it display down, shake it around, and it's not a problem because there is a lip there as well. So if you are interested in protecting your phone with some really nice looking cases, definitely check out Banks in the description below. They're super affordable for the quality that you're getting. Carbon fiber and Kevlar build, so it's strong, thin, and light. And once again, a big shout out to Banks for sponsoring this video. Let's go on with part 2. Okay, so over the past 6 months, over this like long-term review, I've literally only had great things to say about this device, because it is the best device you can currently buy. It's the best camera on the market. It is the best battery on the market. There's nothing in the market right now that is topping this beast, this king of all phones. So why is this phone still a failure in terms of Samsung sales? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the Sony Xperia for a second. You know the one I'm talking about. It looks really nice. It had that boxy design before Samsung had boxy designs. It's got a fantastic camera, and it doesn't sell anywhere near the number of units that Samsung sells. And we can say the same thing about the Red phones as well. One of the best, no, the single best cameras on any phone. You're getting a pure Android experience, but they still barely ever sell. So Sony phones, Red phones, they are the best in their own categories, but people aren't eating them up like they are Samsung devices, and that's because Samsung phones were always made for the masses. I mean, I was in high school with my Note 4, a gigantic phone. I had the blue version, that midnight blue, huge phone. Fam, I was a high school student. The most productive thing I was doing was downloading. But now what's happening is Samsung is kind of pricing itself out of its own market, because we have this thing called the S23 Ultra, which right now, if you get it refurbished, can be $500 less than the S24 Ultra. Between the S23 Ultra and the S24 Ultra, if you're paying $500 more to buy something like this, what more are you actually getting? Because like I said, it's the same camera hardware as in the S23 Ultra. It's the same software updates as in the S23 Ultra, and you're getting the same exact Galaxy AI features that you got in the S23 Ultra. It still has the micro scratching on the display like the S23 Ultra, although it's made of titanium, which is better than the aluminum material. It's not like aluminum is going to degrade in 10 years. That's not happening. They're still both very, very solid devices. It's just that this is aluminum and that's titanium. I mean, no, that's aluminum, this is titanium. So that begs the question, right? One difference that I do know between these two phones, DeX. We talked about DeX. And look, because of the 8 Gen 3 processor in this phone, DeX is like seamless. You can actually run external displays and really bolster that productivity that you couldn't really do before. Now, I'm not saying that S23 Ultra can't run on an external display. It absolutely can. It just won't be able to do it in that speed and that low latency that this can. And that's really only important if you're doing things like watching some kind of show or TV or something like that. And specifically, it's only important when you're running it off of some sketchy, free streaming Google Chrome website like I am. Because if you're doing YouTube or Netflix, well, you can cast those to TVs and your media is going to play with no latency anyways. So it's such a specific use case where you notice a significant difference. Right now though, most people realistically, when it comes to the zenith of productivity, are probably, if it comes to content creators, we can use CapCut. We can now use CapCut with the S Pen, and we can literally do some production level, short form content creation using the editing software on the S24 Ultra, which by the way is the same exact software on the S23 Ultra as well. So yes, you can edit on mobile devices on the S23 Ultra the same exact way you can on this. Now, obviously you have a flat display here, which I absolutely love the flat display. It just means you get a little bit more, room to go all the way to the edge instead of falling off. And of course, it's a little bit more comfortable to hold as well, as opposed to that curved display on the outgoing S23 Ultra. But is that really worth $500? No, it just is not worth that. And even when it comes to battery, yes, the battery on this is bigger and better than the S23 Ultra, but the S23 Ultra still today lasts me over 2 days. Like, obviously I'm using it a little bit less, but that standby time is still absolutely stellar. And the battery, when I am using it for productivity, still stands on its own. Like, I still have it here. Like, it's literally right now recording from one of the mics. That's how good this thing is. Okay, it's still, like, is it still running? Yeah, it's still recording. Okay, 22 minutes in, it's still going. So, fantastic device, the S23 Ultra. So right now, the S24 Ultra, because of its price tag, just doesn't make sense for so many people who are coming from the S23 Ultra. If you're coming from the S22 Ultra, it still might be a better idea to get the S23 Ultra because you're getting all of the cool Galaxy AI features and so much more for the masses on the S23 and saving yourself $500, which is a lot of money. And what I'm really afraid of is it's gonna be the same story with the Z Flip 6 that's coming out next month. I've got the Z Flip 5 here. There are some rumors about the Z Flip 6, but we're gonna have to find out right here on this channel. And if you're into that, smash the subscribe button. I'm gonna see you in the next one. Take it easy. Peace.